Funding for the Gone Fission Nuclear Report is provided by the Energy Communities Alliance.
Welcome to the Gone Fission Nuclear Report, your one-stop source for all the latest news from the Department of Energy's Environmental Management Program. Now, here's your host, Michael Butler.
Hello and welcome to the Gone Fission Nuclear Report. Today is Monday, June 17th, 2024. We're covering all the news from the Department of Energy's Environmental Management Program across the country. And we thank our friends at the Energy Communities Alliance for being presenting sponsor for today's episode. ECA, Local Concerns, National Impact. If you haven't subscribed to the Gone Fission Nuclear Report, we invite you to do that now. Well, it's that time of year. No, I'm not talking about the NBA Finals or Wimbledon or the U.S. Open. I'm talking about interns, those hundreds of students who show up on Department of Energy sites around the country this time of year. They're there to soak up knowledge and gain experience while contributing to the EM mission. They come from far and wide, descending on DOE sites with classes under their belt in engineering, industrial hygiene, project management, safety, communications, and more. They're eager and ready to learn and hoping to open the door to a future career, even as an aging workforce looks forward to retirement. We have a lot on our plate today, so we're going to get right to it. You won't want to miss the end of today's episode when we meet an intern who will leave you feeling that the future of the EM cleanup program is in good hands. But first, let's start by meeting Susan Sparks, Resource Manager and Intern Program Champion at DOE's Portsmouth, Paducah Operations Office. We're talking now with Susan Sparks. Susan is a Resource Manager with the DOE's Portsmouth Paducah Project Office and is in charge, among our other duties, of the intern program at the PPPO office. So hello, Susan, and welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're glad you're here. Our episode today is devoted to the DOE intern program, and I know you have a very successful program there, and we wanted to talk to you about that a little bit. I wonder if first we could start with a little bit of history of your program, how long it's been in place, when did it start, and how it's grown over time.
Sure. Now, we are kind of new to the program really here at the PPPO. We started in 2023 using the recent grad program. We actually were successful in obtaining 5 individuals from the recent grad program. They came on board with us in 2023 in the summer and late fall. And then this summer, we were able to make offers to 10 individuals, and 8 of those individuals accepted our offers for summer internships. So they're coming on board with us actually this coming Monday. They're up in DC this week for their orientation. So they'll come on board with us on Monday and start down at our Paducah office as well as our Portsmouth office and here in Lexington for the next 8 weeks and working with our SMEs to enhance their career field opportunities with the PPPO.
Well, let's talk about the SMEs, the subject matters that these interns work in. Give us a little bit of a feel for what the interns do. What kind of areas do they work in, and what are some of the major topics that they're involved with?
Well, we're bringing in interns that have degree fields in engineering, including mechanical engineering, environmental engineering, and civil engineering, as well as environmental science and computer-related degree fields. So those engineers and scientists and computer technicians are going to be located at our Portsmouth, Paducah, and Lexington offices. They're going to be working in such areas as our on-site waste disposal facility, looking at our D&D projects, working on our depleted uranium hexafluoride project, and working side by side with the SMEs to gain valuable experience in those projects.
Where do you draw from for these interns? How many schools are involved? What's the geographical area? Where do the interns come from?
Okay. Well, we actually draw from a very large pool of schools. The interns that we've brought or we're bringing on board come from all over the country. We have them as far away from the Portsmouth and Paducah project office as Las Vegas, Nevada. They're coming in from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We have them coming in from Atlanta. San Antonio, Texas. We've got them coming in from North Carolina, but we also have some homegrown ones as well in Elizabethtown, Kentucky, and Paducah, Kentucky. So we've got them from all over the country.
And do you have trouble attracting or finding interns? Do you find that the interest outweighs the number of positions you have, or how does that work?
By far, there are a lot of great applicants out there. We reviewed several resumes. There are hundreds of schools that can apply, hundreds of kids that can apply from these hundreds of schools that are eligible through the DOE intern program. We looked at a lot of resumes. There's a lot of really talented people out there that are looking for positions within the department, and we were just very fortunate to find some of the best talent to come to work for us at PPPO.
Well, that's really good. Tell us about the typical intern's workday. I assume they get integrated into the organization where they're working, whatever that subject area might be, and that they would get some training, I suppose, and just be part of the day-to-day team. Is that right?
They are. When they come on board, they're paired with a mentor. And so that mentor would take them out on a regular basis to go ahead and work on the projects that they're responsible for. So they get that really in the field experience right off the bat. So they'll get to see the projects in action and how those projects relate to their degree field. So they get that one-on-one with the mentor just as soon as they come on site at PPPO. So I think it really benefits the students that they've got their education, their learning. They've got the book work that they've got at the university, but then in the summer they can come to the site and actually use that knowledge to really put it into action per se.
Do they have an opportunity during their time there to interact with senior management, the top levels of the company?
Quite often. We may be a little different than some offices out there within the department. Our senior executive service, our top leadership, is very hands-on. We have regularly standing meetings every 2 weeks where our entire staff meets with our senior executive service members. So our manager and our deputy manager are in there with us, telling us what's going on at headquarters, telling us what's going on with the local congressional districts, what's going on at the sites. So our interns will be involved in those meetings as well. So they'll have every opportunity to speak with our senior management, be able to ask them questions. We've talked before this internship kicked off that we're going to make sure that we have about biweekly meetings that our supervisors, which are accepted service members, so they're senior leaders as well, are going to have biweekly meetings with these interns to be able to go ahead and check in on them, make sure they're okay, see if they have any questions, see if they are what they're learning, if they want to maybe move into this area, if there's a project that might interest them a little bit more. So they're going to have ample opportunity to talk with our senior managers, and the senior managers want this program to be successful, and they're going to take the opportunity to talk to these young people as well.
What about repeat interns? I know your program's fairly new, so you may not have experienced this yet, but do you envision interns being able to come back for a second or maybe even a third year?
Oh, we definitely do. That's what we hope for this particular crop of interns right now. We hope that we can, give them the experience that they want and they desire during this 8-week period that they're going to be with us. We hope that we can also use them during their fall, winter, and summer and spring breaks if not on site, be able to do it virtually to keep them involved in the projects that they're working on now and to bring them back again next summer. And then we've also had experience, as I said in the very beginning, with the Pathways program, which is a little different than the internship program. It's a program that's housed under, it's a recent grad program that's housed under the Pathways program, where we've actually brought on individuals that require a 1-year program requirement. They have to be with the department for 1 year before they can be converted to a full-time position. But with those individuals, we brought them on board in 2023, and they've almost completed, most of them have almost completed their 1 year of program requirement with the department, and we're starting to convert those individuals now. So those individuals have successfully completed their program. They're more in the business side of the house, but we're converting them over. So they're actually going to become PPPO employees now, starting the first one will start in July. So we've seen success with that program as well.
Well, let's talk about permanent employment for a minute. Is it realistic for an intern who comes into your program to expect or to have a hope that they can become a full-time employee at PPPO?
I think it's realistic to think that they could become a full-time employee with a department. It all depends on budget with the individual offices. We sincerely hope that by the time these individuals graduate their degree field with these colleges and decide whether they're going to go out with a bachelor's degree or go on for an advanced degree, that at that time we have positions, entry-level positions open for them to come on board with us. We would love that. But if we don't, the department is hopeful that there are other opportunities within the department that those individuals can go into. That's the whole purpose of growing these students through our office or through other offices, is to give them the skills that they need to come into the Office of Environmental Management and fit into any type of office that we have out there and be successful.
Mm-hmm. Well, Portsmouth and Paducah are major cleanup sites. You've got some of the biggest challenges in the program with the demolition of your gaseous diffusion plants and the depleted UF6 program, which we've covered on this podcast. And your experience in hiring interns, is it helpful to you? You have to have a steady supply of workers to do the job that you've got, and you've got a long-term mission. Do you see the intern program as being a reliable and an important source of future workers for the site?
Oh, I do. We can get these individuals when they're in school to develop their professional and their professional development needs. Get them involved. Get them excited about the EM program. And really boost their experience, their field experience. So not only do they have the education, but then they also have the experience to go along with the education. So when they graduate, they're head and shoulders above some of the other students coming out of the universities, because they actually have field experience in the areas that EM needs it. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity for the kids to get involved with the internship program. And I think it's just a perfect storm, if you would have it, that DOE and the internship program can meld together and produce these students to be able to fill some of these workforce needs that we have in the future.
Well, I think you'd like to think of the intern program as being a win-win for both the site and for the intern. And let's talk about that for a minute. What do you see? What are the major benefits that an intern brings to your program? And I've heard people talk about it in terms of eagerness, enthusiasm, fresh perspective, new ideas, that sort of thing. And what benefit do you in turn give to the intern?
Well, I believe what we give to the intern would be that relationship with the mentor. We enjoy the fact that the intern comes on with us with that fresh perspective, with that specialized knowledge, with the eagerness to want to learn and to want to really soak up anything that we have out there to give them. And I think what we give them in return is somebody that's dedicated to them while they're here, to take them out into the field and to be able to show them the ropes, to show them what it really takes to be a DOE employee in the environmental management organization, to show them what those projects look like. And in some cases, depending on how long they're with us, they could see a project from cradle to grave, depending on if they start in the internship in the summer, continue on with us during all their breaks during school, and then come back to us the next summer. They could see a project cradle to grave, and I think it would really strengthen what they're learning in school and help them when they come into the workforce.
Well, given the fact that you've got a long-term cleanup mission there, and that you are going to need a steady supply of workers for a number of years, how would you characterize the importance of the intern program and in terms of meeting that worker demand in the scope of things that you're doing to develop the workforce? Where does the intern program fit in that, and how important is it?
I think it's critical. I think it's one of those components that we can use in order to build a robust pipeline to fill our workforce needs. I think it's there. We've got great resources. There's an ample number of students that are interested. They're in the degree fields that we're looking for in STEM, as well as also in the business side of the house. You need engineering, science, technical, mathematics, but you also need accounting, finance, budget, communications, HR. You need all of that as a well-rounded organization to run an office. So it's not just that we need the STEM, we need the business side of the house as well. So we've got a pipeline here with these organizations, with these colleges that we need to utilize in order to develop that robust, that well-oiled machine that we can reach out as another way to fill our vacancies. So I think it's a great opportunity and one that we should definitely take heed and use.
What would be your message to students who might be watching or listening to this podcast in terms of the value or the benefit they can obtain from being in the intern program? Can you just what is your sales pitch basically when you're talking to people about the intern program? The things they should think about or consider as part of it being a valuable learning experience for them?
Well, what I try to strive to tell them is the Department of Energy has a wide range of opportunities. They have a wide range of positions that you can look to that your degree field would fit into. So, take a look at us. We've got a lot going on. You've got engineering field, you've got the engineering field, you've got the science field. You've got the business side of the house. We're a great employer, and the DOE intern program is a great way to get your foot in the door, to start learning about these different positions that you may be interested in. And it's a good way to try things out. You may find that, the engineering field that you thought you wanted to go into is great. But, as you're here on site, you may think, well, maybe this is where I want to go. Maybe I want to work on this type of a project. As far as the business side of the house, again, you can try different things out. It's the time when you're in the intern program get the opportunity to look at different things that are out there. Try us out, see what we're like. When you graduate, take another opportunity as well. You're looking for a full-time job. Look at the DOE Scholars Program where the recent grad program is housed. It's a great opportunity to look out there to see what recent grad opportunities are available, what vacancies are out there. It's a good step into that first job in your degree field. You can get an entry-level position into the department, and the sky's the limit. There's so much opportunity with the Department of Energy. I say give us a shot. We're a great employer. I've been here for 40 years. I say give it a shot.
So Susan Sparks, a resource manager with DOE's Paducah Portsmouth Project Office, thank you very much for joining us on the podcast today.
Well, thank you for having me, Mike. I appreciate it very much.
Next, we're headed to Oak Ridge, Tennessee, where we'll meet Shannon Potter, intern program coordinator for DOE cleanup contractor UCOR. Well, our guest now is Shannon Potter. Shannon, among her many other duties, is responsible for the intern program at UCOR. UCOR is DOE's cleanup contractor at the Oak Ridge Reservation in Tennessee. And welcome to the podcast, Shannon.
Thank you, Mike. I'm happy to be here.
Well, we're very glad to have you. You and I have known each other for a while, and I've watched you handle the intern program over the last several years, and you seem genuinely excited about it. What is it that you like about the interns?
Well, it's exciting for me to see all of the opportunities and possibilities for them as far as internships go here at UCOR. When I was in college, we didn't have these types of offers for an internship. And if you did do one, you usually would go off alone to a company and be gone for a semester and then come back. Whereas when you come to do an internship here at UCOR, you get to be part of a large group. So you're going through the internship process together rather than having to do it alone.
Well, that's really a very good point. Now, you have your biggest class in history this year. I think you've got over 40 interns there. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. We have 39 who are UCOR, and then we have 2 additional interns. So that really brings our number to 41. We are hosting 2 interns with one of our teaming partners, Strategy. So that's how we've gotten to 41 this year. And you're right, this is the largest year that we've had.
Well, how do you account for that growth? Why have you gotten so many? Why has the program grown so much over the last few years?
Well, we've hosted interns off and on throughout the vintage UCOR contract. And then we had our first probably what you could call formal program the last year of the previous contract. And so moving into this new era of UCOR and the cleanup that we're doing in Oak Ridge, we really needed to take a closer look at the university partnerships that we have in place and then really pulling students from those partnerships, but also from other schools around the nation. So with this new partnership with Tennessee Tech University, we'll be helping them stand up their nuclear engineering program. And that is a school that we have pulled multiple interns from each year. Most of the interns who intern with us come back for repeat internships. And it will be helpful for UCOR as the contract moves along to be able to help with the curriculum development there so that students are able to graduate and be really prepared to go ahead and enter the industry.
So the Tennessee Tech partnership, they're creating a new nuclear engineering program, the first time they've had one. And this will go sort of hand in hand with the partnership that you already have with the University of Tennessee, right? And tell us about that. I know you work with the nuclear engineering department over there.
Yes, in 2016, UCOR helped stand up the nuclear decommissioning minor at UT, and we've been fortunate to have several interns and eventual hires come out of that program. And that's worked out really well for us. They come to UCOR with the knowledge that we need, and in some cases, even more knowledge than what we thought they would have. And so it's worked out really well for us to pull students from that college to join our workforce here at UCOR.
So it looks like partnerships have played a really major role in helping to build the intern program and to get it to the point where it is now, which you're having these record numbers. So the partnerships with the universities are playing a real important role in that, right?
Yes, we visit each of those schools in the spring semester, in the fall semester. We do most of our recruiting with the engineering department, but we also are able to catch some of the other departments while we're on campus. And we haven't had any trouble recruiting for the internship here at UCOR. We usually have more than enough as far as interest and students wanting to come and spend their summer with us.
What's the length of the summer intern program at UCOR?
It's a 12-week program that begins in May and ends early August. And then we also host MES interns through the Department of Energy. So they join us 2 weeks into the program. And then we have the entire group here for 10 weeks.
Okay, and let's talk about what they do while they're there. I know they go through a kind of a training and orientation program when they first arrive, and I read something in there in some of your materials about speed dating. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so the first few weeks that they're here, it's really training heavy. The students who are going to be in the support groups, such as communications or accounting or supply chain, they can finish their training pretty quickly that first week and then go ahead and move into their departments for the on-the-job training. Whereas your engineering students, the ones who are going to be serving with our waste management group and even the ones in our safety group, they require a lot more training before they can head to the field for the actual on-site training. So the first 2 weeks, we're putting them through the rad worker class, the HAZWOPER class, and then they pick up on any of the additional training that they need. They may need respirator fits or nuclear criticality, and they move through that training, and that takes up most of their first 2 weeks, and then they go ahead and move into their projects. So on the third week for the main group, once everybody else has arrived, we have our first full group meeting. And in that meeting, we have what we call corporate speed dating. And so that's really a way where we can match students up and then have them rotate around the room to quickly learn about each other, not just about who the intern is, but where they go to school, what their history is, what led them to UCOR, where they're going to be interning for the summer. And it's just a way for them to quickly meet each other, and then they can go ahead and form friendships that hopefully will help them as they move through the program the rest of the summer.
What about repeats? Do you have interns who come back for a second or even a third year?
Well, since we started the new contract, that's when we've really tracked that. But we've had a lot of repeat students. And this year, we had 10 who returned from last year's class. And some of them in that group, I think about 4 of them, are actually in their third internship here with UCOR. So we really like to see the return interns because we realize that they really enjoyed the experience, that they enjoyed the intern program. They have other choices, and there's other companies who sometimes recruit them, but they choose to come back and intern with us. And it's also helpful while they're here because they can provide some leadership for the new group of interns who come in.
Mm-hmm. So 10 out of 40 are repeats this year. That's about 25% of the whole group. That's a pretty big percentage, and it should indicate that number one, they enjoyed their experience last year and learned something, and that they wanted to come back for more. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. And in addition to the 10 who have returned for an internship, we had about the same number who returned after that first year So each year we're having about that same number return. And since we began this new phase of the internship program, we have hired 11 or 12 interns out of that group as they graduated.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. What is the opportunity for interns to go full time with UCOR after a period of time?
Well, it's all dependent on the needs in the department that they have interned with. And as you know, it's of course dependent on funding. There's several things that we have to work around. But most of the time, if there is a student who has interned with us and they're really interested in joining our team at the conclusion of their internship or even the next semester after they've graduated, we already know who they are and we've already worked with them to come up with a plan of how we can make that happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, the environmental management program overall, all the sites across the complex are concerned about workforce development and having enough workers to do the cleanup work that's going to happen over the next several decades. And the intern program, I would assume, plays a pretty important role in terms of helping you to keep that pipeline full. And you're looking for good people who can perform out of that program to join you full time as you have the need for them. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. And it's also helpful for us that they help with word of mouth. So once they've done their internship here and they've really enjoyed it, they go back to campus and they're already talking to their friends at school or new students who come in. Some of them serve as ambassadors at their school for the programs that they're in. And they do a really good job of letting everyone know who and what UCOR is and what type of experience you could expect from an internship here. That's been really valuable because sometimes we're pulling people who apply for jobs here who didn't do an internship here, but they found out about UCOR from a former intern and they're interested and they want to come and see what it's all about.
Well, Shannon, as we close out our discussion here today, I wonder if you could just give us your thoughts on the benefits that accrue to both UCOR and the intern from the program. What is, in your view, what is the benefit that the intern gets out of the program? And in the same vein, what does UCOR get by having interns on site there every year?
I think that for the interns, this provides them an opportunity to try out the nuclear industry, to try out environmental cleanup, but also give them exposure to working for the Department of Energy. There's a lot of competition for these interns of which company that they're going to choose. And I think that we've had to be a little creative along the way in getting them interested in us because there's a lot of extra rules that come with working on a DOE site. There's the safety, the security, and just really strict with how you're going to perform the work. And while that's actually a good thing, sometimes you have to make sure that they know and understand that. I think that it's also beneficial to them because they get to take the opportunity to evaluate UCOR and the industry to see if it's a fit for them, because they may find that they were on the fence about if they really wanted to continue pursuing this career that they've chosen. And then hopefully once they've come and done an internship with us, they decide that this is what they want to do and that this is just the type of experience that they needed.
Well, Shannon Potter, intern program coordinator for UCOR in Oak Ridge, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Mike.
Now we're off to Washington, D.C., where we'll conclude today's episode with two different perspectives of DOE's Career Pathways program, including an intern who is benefiting directly from the program while bringing her skills and enthusiasm to the world's largest cleanup effort. First, here's the director of DOE's Career Pathways program, Maurice Thompson. Well, our guest now is Maurice Thompson. Maurice is manager of the Career Pathways program for DOE at EM Headquarters. Hello, Maurice, and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited about explaining the opportunities that we have available here under the Department of Energy.
Well, we're really glad to have you with us today. Let's just start with a basic description of what the Career Pathways Program is. If you could just kind of go through that with us a little bit so we have a good understanding of what the program's all about.
So no problem. The Career Pathways Program was an initiative that was initiated through Office of Personnel Management to all federal agencies. It allows for three buckets: interns, recent graduates, and president management fellows. Interns, those who are currently in school or have recently graduated within a certain time frame, within a 6-year time frame. Recent graduates, those, of course, who have recently graduated for within a 2-year period of their degree. And if you're a veteran, a 6-year period. And president management fellows, those who go forth with a higher level degree, so a master's, a PhD, they compete through OPM's process and are selected. And then information is sent throughout all agencies to compete for opportunities within a particular agency.
Okay, well, tell us about the kind of jobs that people can become involved in DOE, either in terms of subject matter or the positions themselves. What do these interns or other participants in the program do when they come to environmental management?
So it's actually a large array of type of opportunities. So we are a STEM-based organization. So looking at those who have degrees in biology, engineering, different forms of nuclear sciences, and the opportunities are vast. So we have opportunities where individuals can be a nuclear scientist, a engineer. So it's a large array. So we take anything from STEM related. We also have other opportunities to where individuals can come in as a budget analyst, a management program analyst. While our focus here at DOE is technically with STEM based, we also have to have those other individuals that are doing the work like myself, right? So individuals who might have an HR background or individuals who might have a financial background. The program allows for entry-level opportunities so that individuals are able to come in and learn the mission from the ground floor, being able to understand and absorb where we are as an organization and help to catapult us and or lead the organization. Seeing that we are an organization to where within 5 years, a large percent, the last numbers I checked were like 47% of our workforce can actually retire within that 5-year window. We have to train these young people up. We have to train you have to bring this talent in and think about their longevity and their careers within the organization because they're going to be the future.
Tell us about how long the participants in the program work while they're in the program in terms of weeks or months, and what kind of training do they get?
So depending on which bucket or which group of participants you're speaking on. So for interns typically are with the agency during the summer months from 10 to 12 weeks. We start them off with an orientation, and then the training is continuous throughout their time. Managers have given us, their assignments of what the individuals are actually working on. So they might be working on remediation with waste. They might be, depending on their specialty, right? Depending on what focus they have actually completed or starting to work towards in their particular emphasis of their careers. So you might have some that are cleaning up nuclear waste. You might have some that might be dealing with remediation. It kind of depends. So interns are typically 10 to 12 weeks. There's opportunities to actually keep them on longer depending on funding. So if we have some funding available, we can keep them on during the fall and the spring. So they'll still be continuously keep getting acclimated to the work that we do here. As far as the recent graduates, those participants have a 1-year program where we provide them with mentors. We provide them with a weeks-long orientation to where we get them all different types of training, how to understand the culture and the dynamics here within DOE, understanding being able to adjust and adapt to the work that we're doing here. And while their program is a year, the caveat with their program is after a year, they are hired and they compete, but they come on at a temporary basis as a temporary employee. And then after they've successfully completed all the requirements of the program, they then transition to competitive service and become a permanent federal government employee. Similar with the PMF, President Management Fellows, those individuals just have a longer length program because they have more rotational assignments, and that's a 2-year program.
All right. How many interns, not interns, but participants overall, do you have in the Pathways program now? And where do they come from in general? Are they drawn from a national base or more regional or local? Where do they come from?
So our participants in FY23, we brought on throughout the course of the year 43 participants, and they came from all across the U.S. So, East, West, North, and South, we had participants that applied to the program.
How does DOE, in your opinion, how does environmental management benefit from having these participants available during the times that they're in the program? What is the benefit to EM that the interns bring? And I guess conversely, what benefit do they get in terms of their participation?
So it's really a twofold. When you think about the knowledge that's, on the cusp of going out the door, they are able to share the experiences. So our senior leadership is able to share their experiences, their talents, what they have implemented within the agency, and transfer that knowledge to the new talent that's coming in the door. I think the benefit for the new talent is they're able to not only understand how we, quote unquote, actually did the process of the program, they're actually also able to push the envelope and push us forward. It's going to be the new talent that's going to lead us into the future. So it's very, in my opinion, when I look at, the dynamics of the program versus the management and leadership here, it's a win-win for each one. We're able to reserve the process and what we have done, but then we're also able to move forward with how we are implementing newness within the organization, how we're implementing the change and the direction in which we're trying to go.
Are you able to characterize the kind of the transition that the participants make from their part of being in the program to full-time employment? How many, in generally, as a percentage, how many of these participants end up working full-time in environmental management?
So the way the program is set up, they're actually, while they're in the program, they're working full-time hours. So they're working 40 hours a week. It's just transitioning from being a temporary employee to a permanent federal government employee. And that process takes a year. The guidelines set up around how OPM wants us to administer the program is, I don't want to call it a trial basis, but what happens is individuals are able to come and we're able to see their skill sets, what they can do, how they are inserting themselves in the work that we're doing, and vice versa. I always tell our participants, it's an opportunity for them to test us out, to see if this is a good fit, see if the work and the mission aligns with their goals and values. So to answer your question, it ends up being a 1-year period to where we're able to see that, and then they transition from a temporary status to a permanent status.
But you're actively looking to the extent possible to transfer as many of these people who are successful and are a good fit to full-time. Is that right?
Yes. So ideally, my focus as the program manager is I want all of them to be successful. Right now, we have about, out of the 43 participants that we've had, knowing that they all kind of started a little bit, the time frame in which they actually came aboard was kind of spread out. So roughly from roughly from about May up until December is when we kind of had them staggered started. Right now we're at about a 92% success rate. So out of the 43, only 4 have not transition to being converted over. So we particularly say they did not convert over to federal government employee.
Okay. Do you have any problem attracting interns to the program? Are there more applicants than there are available positions, or how does that
Oh my
work?
God, yes, yes. We have hundreds of applicants, and we ultimately have to go through and cipher through what makes sense and the best fit for the organization and the direction in which we're trying to go in.
Mhm. So it's a process of narrowing down a lot of candidates to fill a few positions.
Yeah. So the process typically is we will get information from the managers on their needs. We will do a posting on USA Jobs, which most federal government, if not all federal government job opportunities are available on that website. And then we just send it out to all of our networks. So the places that we've actually recruited, to some of the universities that we visited, to give information out about a lot of the activities that we're doing here with DOE. Some of our grants folks, so just anybody in our network, we're sending that information out to apply for the opportunities. And what happens is, because there's a window in which individuals can actually work for the organization, it's a 2-year window, like I said, for individuals who are not veterans. They're able to apply based on their graduation date. And then, we send the information out to the managers once we receive the applicant pool of who met the qualifications based on the specific needs of the job. So, matching engineers to engineers, tech people to tech people. And then what happens is the managers go through and make selections they interview and then make selections. And then that's how we decide who we're bringing into the organization.
What is your assessment of how valuable or important the Career Pathways program is to meeting EM's overall workforce needs? What role does it play in getting the workers that you need to do the cleanup mission?
So it plays a significant role in not only the mission of EM, but the survival of EM. Because we have such a workforce that is aging out, we have methods in which we're trying to make sure that we not only are replacing those individuals who are leaving, but also making sure that we're able to still accomplish mission. We can't accomplish mission if we don't have the individuals here to work. And so bringing in that young talent with these, they just have such eager enthusiasm to just do more and to bring about newness into the organization. I've really seen a huge change. Being that we have not done this program, I don't believe since 2008. When I was hired on, my job was to bring the program back with, new energy, new insights. And we've been very successful. Realistically, when we were planning to bring this program back, we did not get as many of a head count. So our leadership gave us, I believe it was 20 participants. Well, we went over and above the goal and brought in 43. So that's saying something about not only where we're trying to go, but the confidence that leadership has in regards to this type of program.
For our listeners and viewers who may be interested themselves or perhaps have a child that's interested, how does somebody apply, express interest in this program?
So they can definitely send an email directly to myself. My email address is maurice.thompson@em.doe.gov. Once you send an email to me, or we've been out to recruiting events, we gather and collect all of the individuals that we have spoke with. And then what we do is we constantly send out our opportunities. So I would say about 2 weeks, there's an announcement. And it's not that we just send that information out that we have that's just EM centric. We send out all of DOE announcements, job opportunities, posts, so that, we can constantly keep the flow of individuals coming into the organization, because our mission is very vital and important to, what we are trying to do as an organization.
Exactly. Well, kind of in closing here, what message or advice would you have for students who think they might be interested in the program? Kind of maybe tell us what you're looking for in a candidate, or what their interest level should be. Just any advice or message that you have for interested people that are watching and listening.
So my thoughts are, while we are a STEM-based organization, I think sometimes people or individuals get so bogged down in the fact that we are a scientific organization. I think individuals need to understand that while that is our main focus, the science, they need to also understand that we have other opportunities within the organization. I always, use myself as an example. I do not have a scientific background. My background is in human resources. I work here. We have to have some of everyone to be able to accomplish mission. And so I have found, having gone to other agencies and this being now my home, DOE is pretty amazing. The people, the culture, being able to understand that if you want to be impactful, if you want to make a difference, you can do that here. We just want individuals who want to come in and do the work, who are eager to learn, who want to be impactful around the mission.
Well, Maurice Thompson, Career Pathways Program Manager for DOE EM, thank you for joining us on the podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you guys taking the time just to hear some of the awesome things that we're doing here in the Office of Environmental Management.
To close out today's episode, I'm pleased to introduce you to Samina Mondal, now working in the EM Human Resources and Communications arena at Headquarters as part of the Career Pathways program. Well, our guest now is Samina Mondal. Samina is a member of the Career Pathways program in the recent graduates category, and is working at DOE Headquarters in EM. And we're glad to have you on the podcast today, Samina. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much, Michael. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, thanks for joining us. I'd like to start by just talking about you for a minute. Can you tell us a bit about you and your background, where you're from, where you went to school, something about your career goals?
Sure. So I am a proud Virginian, so born and raised in Northern Virginia. My family has been in the DC area all my life. So really, it is a great experience being able to work for the department and be in the heart of downtown. I attended the University of Virginia, and I majored in media studies for my undergrad, graduated a year early, and then got my master's in education. So just graduated last May. The time has really caught up, but it's been an incredible experience being able to learn a little bit more about media policy, but also the ways that media can kind of transform a lot of the messages that we send. And from there, I also was working at the U.S. Naval Research Laboratory throughout my 4 years. So started my government career at 18, and up until now at 23, have been able to acquire all this different knowledge from public affairs to journalism. And then now at the Department of Energy, I serve as a management and program analyst with EM's Office of Workforce Management. So thinking a little bit more about HR strategy and how we're able to better support the workforce.
Well, you've done a lot in a very short period of time. And you are part of the Career Pathways program in the recent graduates category. Tell me how you learned about that program and what stimulated your interest to be part of it.
Sure. So I really am a product of the Pathways program through and through. When I started working with the U.S. Naval Research Laboratory as a public affairs intern, I was a Pathways intern. So under that amazing opportunity, I really got to immerse myself in the organization, but was introduced to a lot of the government services that were provided. So whether that be thinking about all of the benefits, all of the security within, job security, various different things that I would seek out in a career, and got to try it out as an intern. And as to now, I was planning to go back into government when I graduated. So sent out hundreds and hundreds of applications to try myself out at different agencies. But one I really had in my heart was Department of Energy. There was a cute link between the U.S. Naval Research Laboratory, Navy being nuclear, as well as Department of Energy. So it was almost like a perfect pipeline between the two. And when I got the interview to be able to work at EM, I think that that really sparked my interest in seeing that it's such a large mission that comes along with so much that we do as pathways. And so as a pathways recent graduate, I'm on my 1 year term and am able to be converted to full-time employment. So really just all around an incredible way to get myself started in the federal government.
Well, I understand you're only a couple of weeks away from having that transition to permanent employment. Is that right?
Yes. So I started at DOE June 20th of last year. I cannot believe a year has already gone by, but we're approaching that in a couple weeks, and I will be a full-time member of the crew.
Well, and by the time this episode airs, you'll only be a few days away, so it'll be happening, we'll be able to say this week. So congratulations to you for that.
Thank you.
Now, did I understand you to say that your kind of specialization area now is communications and HR strategy? Is that where your work focus is today?
Yes. So I was initially going into my interview with EM and learning that I'd be part of workforce management. A lot of things are running through my head because I think traditionally we think of human resources as the people who give you your vacation benefits and tell you about what you're going to have to do next for XYZ form that you have to fill out. But here at EM, I think we've really reinvented workforce management to be strategy and operations based. So my supervisor, Damian Ferguson, who is actually on one of your episodes of Gone Fission, he really outlined our opportunities within this department is thinking about what we can do best to not only allow for student programs to happen, talent acquisition, equity and inclusion, but really thinking about how these actually impact the next generation of the workforce. So for myself and many others in my office, we all have communications backgrounds. And I think that really helps us facilitate that message. We right now are working with our DOE Scholars Program. So a new round, a fresh batch of interns have come in just this week. And it is incredible to see that we're able to almost allow them to have that introduction into what EM is and how workforce management is here to support all of the functions of our cleanup mission.
What's a typical day like for you? What do you do during your time from day to day? Kind of talk us through what that experience is like.
Yes. So basically, when we come into the office, one of our favorite things to do is just kind of debrief what we're going to do for the rest of the day. So looking at meetings and thinking about the different ways we're going to collaborate. I love being able to work with different individuals on my team, particularly my Pathways program manager, Maurice Thompson. It is really such a pleasure to be able to talk through some of the events that perhaps the Pathways recent graduates are going to be taking part in. So whether that be allocating a budget for the orientation or thinking about different ways that we can get more students involved in pathways and applying to these different jobs that we have listed. It really is thinking about the best ways that we can communicate a lot of the things that are on our plates and what's the best strategy that goes along with it. So usually meetings take up a lot of the day, which is really nice. Love to go to the collaboration meetings with everybody in the EM complex, and to be able to hear from other people's perspectives really drives a lot of the innovation throughout the day.
Do you feel like the Pathways program is expanding your knowledge base and kind of confirming that this field is the right one for you in terms of a career future?
Oh, yes. I think that I'm so thankful that the Pathways program exists within itself. I know that under President Obama, that was essentially the vision to allow for students that want to be a part of the federal workforce to get that opening and that opportunity to get their foot in the door. So from when I started when I was 18 to now at 23, I see myself wanting to continue to build on my skills in government service, particularly because through the Pathways program, I've made so many incredible friends through the peers. We are all at the different field sites of EM, but we were late on so many of the different things we go through. So initially starting work, learning about what exactly we're contributing to the mission, and overall just being able to have people to support you along the way is something very special.
Mm-hmm. What do you think is the most valuable part of your experience? Some people would say being able to work with a mentor or having exposure to real life on the job training or networking? What do you think is the most valuable thing that you're getting out of this?
Oh, yes, that's a very hard question because I would definitely attest to all of those things. But I think one of the most important things is that we are able to have such an ally and an advocate in our program manager. Maurice has done all of these amazing things for us to be able to feel empowered and that we can turn to him for any of the questions that we have professionally. So really being able to be so open and honest in our struggles, but also rejoicing over the things that we're able to accomplish each step of the way. So whether it be me kind of seeing it behind the scenes as a HR professional and learning about how to run a program, there's so much value in that, and I'm very thankful. And also to be able to see it from my peers' perspectives of being in the program and how exactly we can make it better for the next person.
Mhm. When you're sitting in the classroom, of course, you've been at this for a while, but when you're sitting in the classroom and sort of visualizing what it'll be like to be on the job, you kind of have one thing in mind. How is working as an intern or as part of the recent graduates program, how's that different from learning in a classroom?
Yes, so I think that honestly, I've come to this conclusion a couple times, but it is honestly something that you can't even find in a classroom with the experience that you get through the Pathways program, because you're able to work with not only your director, your supervisor, but so many different others in the organization. Specifically at EM, we are constantly coming up with new projects and initiatives, and it's just very powerful to see how everyone lends a helping hand. So us coming in as Pathways, so many people have taken on the position of field site liaisons. So managing one of EM's field sites or thinking about HR practices or budgets. So it's very much so you're getting such practical experience, but at the same time, you are also creating a path for yourself in the federal government. It's its own particular journey that you can have, and you use the skills you get from school, of course, in your field and what you're an expert in. But it is that practical experience and the lessons learned that makes it all worth it.
Is there anything in particular that surprised you that you've encountered or learned during your internship period?
I would say that one of the things that I was very surprised, pleasantly surprised about, was that the EM Pathways program had a mentorship aspect of it. So, one of the Pathways requirements is that we are provided a mentor, and they are essentially someone that we can turn to for professional advice. But being able to have a mentor was something that I think really helped shape me throughout my year here thus far. I actually get to work with the amazing Chief of Staff, Kathy Tullis, as my mentor, and I just want to say that it just inspires me every time that we talk because she has such a wealth of knowledge in staffing. And that's something that I think goes hand in hand with HR. So really being able to see such an incredible career that she's had and so many others at EM, thinking about them starting out as interns up until the position they are now, is really something I was so surprised to see and is something I value a lot.
Well, you sort of led me to my next question. I was wondering if you had the opportunity to interact with senior management, and it sounds like you have. My question was going to be, do they know you're there? And obviously, it sounds like they do.
Oh, yeah. So that's another thing with the Pathways program. I think the fact that so many of us have taken part in the collaboration meetings that we have at EM allows for that exposure to happen naturally. So our work culture is very much around meeting each other, finding different ways to work with one another. And I think that unlike many different government agencies, particularly DOE and EM, we focus on having that personal aspect. So you don't feel scared to go up to someone to say hello. And they have different events for us to go to meet with the executives in the front office and learn a little bit more about what they do. And at the same time, they want to hear about what we are doing. So it's very empowering for us being first-time employees.
Well, it sounds like you're on a very clear career path here, being able to transition to permanent employment later this week and being able to pursue your career goals thanks to the Pathways program. I'm wondering what advice you would give to others who might be considering applying for the program. What would you tell them about whether or not to do it and what the benefit to them might be.
So my advice to someone who's entering the Pathways program would be in twofold. So first things first, I would say to always take new opportunities that you have at hand. So for example, at the Department of Energy and Environmental Management, we really do live up to the idea that everyone matters. I think that there's so many people that are out there, mentors, advocates, and coworkers that want to see you succeed. So being uncomfortable and embracing your growth is something that will never go out of style. It really will allow you to propel your career to new heights and to allow yourself to be part of that mission. And that goes to my second point. I think regardless of whatever government agency that you work for, do research the mission and understand how much it grows and the lengths that it goes to, because you often find yourself doing day-to-day tasks and it might feel a bit arduous and tiring, but at the end of the day, you are supporting such a brilliant mission like the one we are at EM.
Well, Samina Mondal, for what it's worth, I want to predict that you're going to have a very bright future ahead in the Department of Energy, and you're also a terrific representative for the agency, very well spoken, and you've given us a lot to think about today, and I appreciate you being on the podcast.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much, Michael.
Funding for the Gone Fission Nuclear Report is provided by the Energy Communities Alliance.